Hartsville. This is Good Morning PD on Live 95.
Welcome back to Good Morning PD Live 95 on a Thursday morning. Once again, thanks to our good friends at Schofield's for sponsoring this, whatever you want to call it, this morning. We've not talked about Donald Trump. We've not talked about the Supreme Court. We've not talked about, Ronnie Jackson. Come on, man. The guy's trying to be a department head in the nation's capital named Ronnie Jackson. You could get elected mayor of Pamplico.
Yeah.
Being named Ronnie Jackson.
Sure.
You could get elected mayor of Darlington named Ronnie Jackson. But enlightened people and woke people, they're going to discount a few IQ points if you show up in your pickup truck named Ronnie Jackson. He's withdrawn his name for consideration as our VA I don't know what is it, VA chief?
Director?
Yeah, director of the Veterans Administration is what he's called. He was the guy that had the press conference where he said Trump's the healthiest man in the world.
Yep. Good genes.
Trump said, who said that? Ronnie Jackson. Make him in charge of something. Make him head of something. Ronnie Jackson said I was the healthiest. Did he really say that?
He's smart.
Did he really say that? He did. General Kelly said he did say that, Donald. He did. Put him in charge of something. Who can we get rid of? Who can we get rid of right now that might not be on the team? And let's make sure we put Ronnie Jackson in charge. You can't be named Ronnie Jackson and expect to go to Washington and have any authority whatsoever. People don't take you as serious. Something serious that we need to kind of talk about this morning is the Supreme Court of the United States takes up the travel ban that has been kind of litigated all over the country. We've had the 9th District of California render a decision. We've had a lawsuit. The state of Hawaii, was involved in that litigation. It's being debated at the Supreme Court as we speak. And a lot of the back and forth, give and take, began in earnest yesterday or the day before. Something I found very interesting, Judge Samuel Alito said yesterday, I wrote this comment down. These are his words, verbatim. I think there are 50 predominantly Muslim countries in the world. 5 predominantly Muslim countries are on this list. The population of the predominantly Muslim countries on the list make up about 8% of the world's Muslim population. If you looked at the 10 countries with the most Muslims, exactly one, Iran, would be on that list. Now, the majority of this is in relation to executive power. How broad of an executive action can the president take in regards to immigration policy in America? And once again, we've litigated to this point. The president's decisions, the executive actions he's taken has been challenged in court. We knew one day it would end up in the lap of the United States Supreme Court, and that has happened. Political strategist and Clifton Network partner Camara Clifton is with us this morning. Camara, are you with us?
I am. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Did I properly articulate kind of the Cliff Note narrative of exactly what's happening in the Supreme Court? If you heard any of my commentary, and do you have anything to add or subtract? Then I got a couple of questions for you, please, ma'am.
Well, surely. Well, I heard part of it. I'm not sure I heard the whole of it, but what I heard, I agree. The most important thing is that we need to discern whether the president, and the Supreme Court, I think, has done this, whether the president was barring Muslims or he was barring people from countries where we don't have a clue who they are. And his goal, his responsibility is to protect the American people.
Camara, what is the argument? When you look at the Establishment Clause of the Constitution, I believe sincerely that the Constitution clearly gives the president authority to enact and execute immigration policy. What would be the other side? If you're someone on the side that says this is a Muslim ban, this is something that is out of the realm of what a president should do, what arguments do you think will be made on those opposing the president?
Well, it's the argument that they're making is that he doesn't have the authority, nor is there the need. Well, on the issue of authority, he absolutely has the authority, and the court has already established that he does. Whether there's a need, I think that that is what's mostly not literally in the court, because I'm not sure they can deal with that. But for us, the need is not to allow people into the country that we don't know who they are. That is the right of sovereignty. We don't have to let anybody in if we don't want to. We could say, TikTok, this game is locked. But we can't really afford that, nor is that something that we want. So, I think the point that I did hear in your comments was that, only I have 5 that made the list of Middle Eastern countries. There's also North Korea, and there's also officials from Venezuela and their families who might be seeking refuge here and need to stay in their own country and clean that up. But for the Middle Eastern countries, they don't have the vetting system. They don't even know who those people are. And if they do, they're not willing to share whether they have criminal records, all the things that would keep other people from other countries from coming here. So we want them banned until they're more stable, and there's no reason logistically or legally or even from a sense of just a point of responsibility to challenge this. So if the left challenges it, in my opinion, it's very similar to all their other challenges, which is they have their talking points, and regardless of the facts or the scenario or whatever the real situation is, they stick to those talking points. And right now, anything that the president wants to do is on the opposite side of what they are claiming is the right thing, and they're willing to take it all the way to the Supreme Court.
You keep up with politics in great detail. I try my best to keep up with what's going on. Obviously, this will have an effect on the Trump presidency, good or bad, the resistance movement, and I still believe this is kind of ancillary to the resistance movement that is alive and well in Washington. But in the larger story that the court sets precedent as to what the president's role is in immigration policy and national security. I mean, I know we have this back and forth that is always the case in Washington and American politics. The party in power, the president in power, and those that disagree. But isn't the bigger debate about how this affects future presidents in enacting immigration policy?
It may well be. Everything that is a precedent impacts what someone else might think they get to do. But when you think back, I mean, all the way back to, not Washington, but everybody who followed him, they imposed, and especially during war years, which we are, whether the world wants to admit it or not, we are in a war. And it's not the kind of war that we had in World War II. I think that kind of war ended with Korea. But think about every president has had the opportunity and the ability and the right to ban or seclude anybody that they thought was a threat to the United States. That's their job. They are supposed to protect the borders, which includes immigration, and the dollar. If they do that, then, that's the way the triumvirate of the Supreme Court, the Congress, and the presidency works. So if the president of the United States does not take a firm stand on who can and cannot enter this country and keep us safe, then he's not doing his job. And many presidents before him have taken up that mantle and actually banned people from coming in or secluded them once they were here.